Today, we're diving straight into decoding the silent, biological currents of human interaction. We're going to examine exactly how raw, unfiltered chemistry involuntarily overrides carefully constructed social programming. You know, if you've ever felt that massive disconnect between what's being said out loud and what's actually happening in the room, well, you're absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it. All right, first things first. We've got to completely toss out those Hollywood myths of obvious attraction. I mean, we're taught to look for, aggressive flirting, obvious confessions, these grand gestures. But the reality? Those Hollywood gestures make for great cinema, sure, but they are absolutely terrible real-world survival strategies for someone trying to hide a crush. Think about it. A woman who has an image to protect or a relationship status to maintain is never just going to hand you an obvious sign on a silver platter. No way. She'll only reveal that forbidden chemistry through microscopic, totally uncontrollable biological clues. We're talking micro shifts, emotional slips, and split-second physical reactions that she literally cannot hide. So we're going to approach this whole thing like a behavioral dossier, moving clue by clue through 6 distinct phases. We'll cover the biological conflict, the emotional slip, uncontrollable selective attention, sudden nervous paradoxes, suppressed hidden jealousy, and wrap up with unrestricted emotional access. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the hidden biological conflict. This is the foundational tension operating just beneath the surface. Here's the deal. Society essentially requires an invisible emotional shield to protect a commitment, right? It's a defense mechanism designed to keep things predictable and safe. But the primal biology of a hidden, forbidden attraction, that acts like a powerful, high-voltage electrical current. And no matter how incredibly strong her willpower is, that raw chemistry forces microscopic cracks in that exact defense mechanism. The shield simply cannot handle the current. That brings us to Section 2, the emotional slip. Let's take a closer look at those microscopic cracks and see exactly what leaks out. Now, an emotional slip is a totally fascinating psychological phenomenon. It's this exact, entirely unscripted moment where her primal feelings completely hijack her logical mind. And it only happens for a fraction of a second, causing a sudden, massive leak of personal investment. You'll actually see this happen when a deeply personal question leaves her mouth just way too fast. That's a slip. Her raw curiosity completely outran her logical sense of polite boundaries in the absolute blink of an eye. I want you to really slow down here and visualize this split-second sequence. First, you'll hear her vocal tone drop to this intimate, velvety frequency. Next, you might hear a burst of genuine organic laughter that totally bypasses conscious effort, and you'll see her eyes soften and sparkle. But then, and this is the absolute kicker, an immediate, quiet panic sets in. She realizes the mask slipped. You'll actually watch her suddenly clear her throat or stiffen her posture as she desperately yanks those defenses back into place. Moving right along to Section 3, uncontrollable selective attention. Let's see how all of this builds into an unstoppable magnetic pull. You know, they say attention is the truest currency of desire, and man, is that true here. Here is exactly how her internal tracking radar works. Even if she's standing directly next to her partner, the literal second you enter the room, her posture subtly adjusts to the physical distance between you two. In neuroscience, this is actually called the cocktail party effect. It's your brain's measurable ability to filter out environmental noise just to tune into your specific frequency. Basically, she could hear your quiet laugh across a crowded room while totally ignoring the loud conversation happening right next to her. And this perfectly illustrates the tension of that attention. Because if she's tracking you, she is inevitably going to steal a forbidden glance. The absolute dead giveaway here? The split-second whiplash. It's that panicked, millisecond speed at which she snaps her head away the exact moment your eyes actually meet. That sudden whiplash happens because her conscious mind suddenly caught her doing exactly what she is trying so hard to hide. Now for Section 4, sudden nervous paradoxes. The crucial point to remember here is that this intense, hidden focus creates a massive physiological short circuit. This is a deeply ingrained biological chain reaction, and honestly, it is absolutely fascinating to observe. The very second you enter her immediate physical proximity, her logical brain is completely sidelined and her sympathetic nervous system spikes. This floods her body with this intense, kind of confusing cocktail of adrenaline and subconscious guilt. Her body is just suddenly overflowing with emotional voltage, which leads to a desperate automatic search for a physical way to vent all of that pent-up energy. So, because of that sudden rush of energy, you really need to watch for unconscious comfort gestures. You're going to catch her fidgeting with her fingers, maybe endlessly adjusting her rings, smoothing down an outfit that's already perfect, constantly checking her hair, or lightly touching the side of her neck. These aren't just random little tricks, okay? They act as a physical venting system for the intense chemistry she is desperately trying to bury.
Now, because she feels her body losing control, she's going to violently overcompensate, swinging between two pretty extreme paradoxes. On one hand, she might go into the sudden freeze, becoming rigid, unusually cold, and completely cutting off eye contact as an active suppression. Or she'll swing to the exact opposite end of the spectrum and throw on the hyperactive mask. That's when she becomes overly talkative, using loud, rapid-fire, exaggerated laughter to actively drown out the frantic pace of her own heartbeat.
But here's the thing. No matter which mask she puts on, biology always wins out. You can fake a laugh, sure. You can force a cold, rigid posture. But this physical scar of her internal war is completely unfakeable. Her pupils will visibly dilate the exact moment she locks eyes with you. It's a primal, hardwired biological response. Just like a predator in the dark, her pupils expand involuntarily to take in as much information about you as possible. Sheer willpower simply cannot override it. All right, Section 5, Suppressed and Hidden Jealousy. Let's observe what happens when a new variable disrupts this delicate, tightly controlled ecosystem. You see, jealousy is a psychological mirror that absolutely cannot lie. It strips away all that politeness and just exposes true desires. You really have to watch her face with absolute precision during what we'll call a threat evaluation. The very millisecond another attractive woman steps into your space, look closely. Her jaw's going to clench slightly, and her posture will stiffen up. From there, she'll either go into a sudden silent retreat, withdrawing just to protect her feelings, or she'll make an intensely competitive interjection. If she does choose that competitive route, she might interject to subtly reclaim your attention with a casual-sounding question, something like, "Oh, who was that?" Or, "Have you two known each other for a long time?" But if you listen closely to the frequency of her delivery, her voice is going to carry a sharp, defensive tightness. That tone right there proves she has subconsciously claimed emotional territory around you, even if logically she knows she has absolutely no right to. And finally, Section 6, Unrestricted Emotional Access. Let's explore the ultimate boundary shift that really confirms this total biological override.
Filtering who actually gets access to her inner world is a basic survival mechanism. For most people, they only ever get the polite, scripted pleasantries. But without any kind of dramatic, movie-style confession, her emotional boundaries are going to actively bend towards you. She'll completely bypass the everyday small talk and instead just hand you selective, unrestricted access to her genuine frustrations, her childhood memories, and her raw fears. She gives you the unedited version of herself simply because your presence makes her feel uniquely safe.
So, as we wrap up today's explainer on the undeniable realities of human chemistry, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. The next time you find yourself trying to decipher a connection, ask yourself, are you just reading the polite words, or are you actually observing the silent biology? Because when social programming and human chemistry go to war, the body always tells the truth. Keep your eyes open, guys, and never stop learning. Catch you next time.